In February, the new U.S. Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, went to Brussels and gave a speech in which he said that the Europeans should assume responsibility for funding the Ukraine war so that America could turn its attention to China and other theaters of conflict. And I think certainly what he meant there was West Asia, Israel, and Palestine. So how can you say with a straight face that you're trying to end the Ukraine war, you as an American administration official, when you're telling Europeans to increase their military spending so that they can continue the funding of the Ukraine war? And then a few weeks later, or months later, J.D. Vance, the U.S. Vice President, said exactly the same thing, or essentially the same thing in an interview with the American media. He said, if the Europeans want to continue buying weapons to fund this war, we're fine with that. We'll provide the weapons. This is not the attitude of someone who is determined to end the war. And, the people who really are driving intellectually, if I could use that term generously, the Trump administration's foreign policy are two individuals, one by the name of Colby Elbridge, another by the name of Wess Mitchell. One of them currently serves in the administration. The other was a deputy secretary of state in the first Trump administration, Mitchell. They've written extensively about what is really going on here. What is really going on here is, as Hegseth called it, a division of labor. The Americans want to focus their limited resources on West Asia and China, and they want the Europeans to focus their limited resources on Ukraine. There is no real interest here in ending the Ukraine war. So one may ask, why does Trump keep saying that he wants to end the Ukraine war? Well, it's very simple. This is a time-honored tradition of lying to your base. The Trump crew, his campaign advisors, understood last year that if he wanted to maximize his chances of defeating Kamala Harris, he had to appeal to the people in the MAGA base who wanted an end to U.S. forever wars and wanted the U.S. to retrench and focus on domestic concerns. And so he lied. He said over and over again during the campaign, I will end the Ukraine war within 24 hours, which was a preposterous claim to begin with. And here we are 8 months later, and it's escalating, certainly not over. And he did that simply for electoral advantage, Zane. And now, because he built up this expectation in his base that he would end the war, he has to put on this display of trying to do that. And that's what I think Alaska was all about. Invite the Russian president to U.S. soil, pat him on the back, shake his hand, say we had a great conversation, then invite the Europeans to the White House, knowing full well that European leaders are going to say, we're not going to make any concessions to Russia, which is going to destroy any possibility of a peace deal. And then Trump can look at his base and say, well, I tried. I did my best. You can't blame me. That's what this is all about. The Trump administration, I think this is now clearer than ever with the new sanctions, the threats of additional sanctions, the provision of missiles to Ukraine, these ERAMs and so forth. The reality of the Trump administration's foreign policy is that it wants the war in Ukraine to continue, but it wants European countries to bear the financial burden of financing it. It's as simple as that.